Confidence is not arrogance, and it is not an empty display of pride. It is something far more powerful, far deeper, far more unshakable. Confidence is the silent belief within you that no storm, no failure, no rejection, no obstacle can break you. It is not about shouting loudly or proving yourself to anyone. It is about carrying a steady fire inside you that burns regardless of who notices. When you truly build confidence, it becomes a force that others feel the moment you enter a room, even if you don't say a single word. It is presence, it is energy, it is strength that doesn't ask for permission to exist. But here is the truth: most people misunderstand confidence. They think it is about pretending to be strong, putting on a mask, or projecting an image to the world. That is not confidence. That is performance. Real confidence doesn't need to perform. It doesn't need to prove. It doesn't even need to be seen. Real confidence is dangerous because it is calm, unshakable, and rooted in something much deeper than appearance. It is a belief so strong that no external opinion, no failure, no insult can shake it. This kind of confidence begins quietly. It is not created overnight. It starts with a single thought: I am capable. That thought may feel small at first, like a seed buried beneath heavy soil, but every act of courage waters it. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, that seed grows. Every time you push through fear, every time you silence the voice of doubt, every time you stand tall when you could have backed down, that seed strengthens its roots. And one day, that quiet seed of belief grows into something unmovable, a tree that storms cannot bend. That is what dangerous confidence feels like, rooted, steady, and unbreakable. You see, arrogance is loud because it is fragile. It has to shout to be noticed, it has to perform to be validated, and it has to constantly seek attention because deep down it knows it is hollow. Confidence is the opposite. Confidence is quiet because it doesn't need recognition. It is a knowing that speaks without words. It is an inner voice that whispers, I can handle whatever comes. And once you truly carry that within you, the world begins to respond differently. People sense it. They may not even understand why, but they feel drawn to it, they respect it, and sometimes they even fear it. Dangerous confidence does not mean you will never feel fear. Fear will still come, doubts will still appear. But confidence is the decision to act anyway, to move forward even when your knees shake, to trust yourself even when the outcome is uncertain. Every courageous step you take in the face of fear strengthens your core. And over time, that steady accumulation of small victories builds something extraordinary, a self-belief that cannot be destroyed. That is when confidence crosses the line into something dangerous, because now you are no longer held back by fear, by doubt, or by the opinions of others. You move with certainty, and certainty is power. The world cannot control a dangerously confident person. Why? Because the world thrives on your hesitation. It thrives on your fear, your doubt, your need for approval. When you remove those chains, when you no longer wait for someone to validate you, you become untouchable. You no longer seek permission to act, you no longer beg for recognition, you no longer bend to rejection. You carry yourself with the unshakable knowledge that you will rise, no matter what comes your way. That is the seed of dangerous confidence, and once it takes root, it changes everything. There is a hidden power within every human being, a power that does not shout or demand attention, but waits silently for the right moment to awaken. This power is not something you need to borrow from others or search for in the outside world. It is already inside you, quietly resting, waiting for you to recognize it. Most people never tap into this power because they are too distracted by fear, doubt, and the constant noise of outside opinions. They are so busy chasing validation from others that they forget the greatest strength they could ever possess is already within their own mind and spirit. The silent power within you is confidence, and once it is discovered and nurtured, it becomes impossible to ignore. Confidence in its purest form is not about loud words or flashy actions. It is not about dominating others or proving superiority. True confidence is about knowing that no matter how uncertain the path looks, you can take the next step. Knowing that no matter how many times you fall, you will rise again. Knowing that no matter how heavy the weight of life becomes, you have the strength to endure it. This inner knowing does not need approval from the outside world. It exists on its own. It thrives on your willingness to trust yourself, even when there is no clear evidence that you will succeed. The silent power of confidence is unshakable because it is not dependent on anything external. It comes from within. When you learn to trust this silent power, something extraordinary begins to happen. Fear loses its grip. Doubt begins to shrink. The voice inside you that once said, "I can't," is slowly replaced with "I will," and the world around you responds differently. People can sense inner strength even if you never say a word. They notice the way you stand, the way you carry yourself, the calmness in your eyes. They feel your energy, and that energy is magnetic. True confidence does not ask for attention. It commands it naturally. It is the quietest person in the room who often carries the greatest presence because their belief in themselves speaks louder than any words ever could. But the silent power within you must be unlocked. It will not reveal itself if you continue to live in doubt, hesitation, and fear of judgment. To awaken it, you must start trusting yourself in small ways every single day. You must take action even when you are uncertain. You must learn to stand firm in your decisions, even when others question you. Every time you silence the noise of outside voices and choose to believe in yourself, you are strengthening that hidden power. Confidence grows quietly, almost invisibly at first, but then suddenly it becomes undeniable. One day you will notice that you no longer question yourself like you once did. You no longer hesitate before taking action. You no longer shrink in the presence of challenges. Instead, you move forward with a calm, unshakable certainty. That is the silent power within, and once you awaken it, nothing in this world can break you. Doubt is the invisible prison that keeps countless people from ever reaching their true potential. It whispers in the back of your mind, convincing you that you are not ready, that you are not worthy, that someone else is more talented, more prepared, more deserving. It does not chain your body, but it chains your spirit, and those chains are often stronger than steel. Many people never break free because they mistake those whispers for truth. They hear the inner voice of hesitation and believe it is reality. But the truth is this: doubt is a liar, and the only power it has is the power you continue to give it. The most dangerous part of doubt is how subtle it can be. It rarely screams. It usually speaks quietly, hiding behind reason, making excuses sound logical, making fear seem practical. It tells you to wait until the perfect time, to gather more courage, to collect more evidence before taking action. Yet that perfect time never comes. The chains of doubt tighten with every hesitation until your dreams are left waiting in the dark. But here is the secret. Doubt begins to lose its grip the very moment you act against it. Every small action taken in the face of hesitation is a strike against the chains that hold you down. Confidence is not born from never doubting. It is born from defeating doubt again and again. Each time you rise above hesitation, each time you refuse to let fear decide for you, you are training your mind to believe in your own strength. At first, it may feel heavy, as though those chains will never break. But just like metal weakens under constant pressure, doubt weakens under repeated defiance. You begin to notice that the voice telling you you can't grows quieter each time you prove that you can. The power of doubt is not permanent. It fades when you consistently choose action over hesitation. The truth is, most people wait for confidence before they act, but that is not how confidence works. Action comes first. Confidence follows. You do not destroy doubt by thinking about it, analyzing it, or waiting for it to disappear. You destroy it by moving forward despite it. Every step you take builds evidence in your own mind that you are capable. Every challenge you face becomes proof that you can endure. Soon, doubt no longer looks like a chain. It looks like a test, one you already know you can pass. That is when you start to walk with dangerous confidence, because you are no longer controlled by hesitation or fear. The chains of doubt will always try to return, but once you have broken free, you never look at them the same way again. You recognize them for what they are, illusions. They may whisper, they may try to slow you down, but they can never hold you once you know the truth. The truth is that doubt was never stronger than you. It was only as strong as the belief you gave it. The moment you decide to stop believing in it, the chains fall away, and you step forward lighter, stronger, and more dangerous than ever before. Certainty is not something you stumble upon by chance. It is something you build layer by layer, choice by choice, action by action. The mind is like soft clay, it takes the shape of whatever you press into it most often. If you press fear, hesitation, and doubt into it every day, that is what it will harden into. But if you press belief, courage, and repetition of strength, it will form the image of someone who cannot be broken. The psychology of certainty is simple. The more you repeat an action with conviction, the more your mind begins to accept it as truth. Confidence is not a gift given to a select few. It is the natural result of consistent repetition of courage. Think about how habits are formed. No one wakes up with automatic discipline, automatic skill, or automatic self-belief. These things are crafted through repeated action until the brain accepts them as natural. The subconscious mind does not argue, it obeys what it is fed. If it is fed doubt, it will operate from doubt. If it is fed belief, it will operate from belief. Every time you tell yourself, I can, and then prove it through action, you are rewiring the deepest levels of your mind. The more often you do this, the less room there is for uncertainty, because certainty becomes the default setting of your thinking. This is why small, consistent victories matter so much. It is not about waiting for one massive breakthrough or a life-changing event. It is about proving to yourself daily in small ways that you can keep going, that you can endure, that you can rise. Each time you push yourself to act despite fear, each time you keep a promise to yourself, you are building a foundation of certainty. And foundations are powerful because they cannot be shaken easily. Once your subconscious mind begins to see you as capable, you begin to walk differently, speak differently, and live differently. You no longer question every step, because deep down you already know that you can handle what comes. Certainty is powerful because it creates momentum. Once you truly believe that you can accomplish something, hesitation disappears. And when hesitation disappears, energy is unleashed. The people who achieve the most in life are not those who never had fear or doubt. They are the ones who train their minds to act with certainty anyway. They understand that the mind accepts what is repeated, so they repeat strength instead of weakness. Over time, this repetition builds into an unstoppable force. The dangerous kind of confidence is born here, in the psychology of certainty. When your subconscious mind has been programmed through repeated action, through consistent belief, through relentless courage, you no longer need to convince yourself every time you face a challenge. You already know, you already trust, you already believe. This is the moment where hesitation no longer controls you, where failure no longer breaks you, and where fear no longer dictates your choices. You move forward with certainty, and certainty is a language the world cannot ignore. One of the greatest tests of confidence is the ability to stand alone. Most people spend their lives chasing approval, desperate to be accepted, terrified of being judged, and unwilling to move without the support of others. They adjust their dreams to fit the expectations of the crowd. They water down their voice to avoid criticism, and they bury their true desires so they can blend in. But true confidence becomes dangerous the moment you no longer need validation. When you reach the point where you can walk your path without trembling, even if no one believes in you, even if everyone doubts you, you rise into a different level of strength that cannot be touched. Standing alone is not easy because human nature craves belonging. We are wired to seek the safety of the group. That is why rejection feels painful and criticism feels like an attack. But when you learn to detach from the need for constant approval, you free yourself. You realize that the world's opinions are temporary, fragile, and constantly shifting. One day you are praised, the next you are condemned. If you build your confidence on the unstable ground of other people's approval, you will never feel secure. But if you build it on your own belief, your own conviction, your own certainty, no rejection can take it away from you. The ability to stand alone requires courage, but it also creates freedom. It means you are no longer a prisoner to the moods and judgments of others. It means you no longer shrink when people laugh at your vision. It means you no longer abandon your mission just because no one else can see it. The truth is, every person who has ever achieved something extraordinary has had to stand alone at some point. They had to walk forward when others told them to turn back. They had to keep going when no one believed in them. They had to find strength in their solitude. This is what makes confidence dangerous. It is no longer dependent on a cheering crowd. It is self-sustaining. When you reach the point where you can stand alone without fear, something shifts inside you. Your energy changes. You carry yourself with quiet authority, with a presence that says, "I don't need you to believe in me, because I already believe in myself." And strangely enough, this independence draws people to you. The world is magnetized by those who are not desperate for approval, because they carry a rare kind of strength. They do not beg to be accepted. They define the standard. They do not adjust themselves to fit in. They stand as they are, and others feel compelled to rise to their level. Dangerous confidence is not about walking away from people. It is about walking toward your true self without hesitation. When you stand alone without fear, you discover that you are never truly alone. You discover that strength was always inside you, waiting to be awakened. And once you taste that freedom, you will never again bow to the chains of doubt, judgment, or rejection. You will walk your path boldly, and the world will have no choice but to recognize the power of a person who no longer needs permission to rise. Confidence cannot be faked for long because it is not merely a set of words or gestures. It is energy. It is the unspoken vibration that radiates from within you and influences everyone around you without effort. People may forget what you say, but they will never forget how your presence made them feel. When you carry true confidence, your energy speaks louder than your voice, and it commands attention without you having to demand it. This is why the most powerful individuals are not always the loudest in the room. Often, they are the quietest, yet their presence pulls all focus toward them. Energy cannot be disguised. Pretending to be confident may work for a moment, but people always sense the truth beneath the surface. False confidence is fragile. It cracks under pressure. It fades when challenged. It shatters when it faces resistance. But true confidence is solid. It is calm. It is steady even in chaos. It does not need to prove itself because it already knows its worth. That kind of energy is magnetic. People feel drawn to it because it radiates certainty, and certainty is rare in a world full of hesitation and doubt. The human mind is naturally attracted to stability, and when you become the person who carries unshakable energy, you naturally attract respect, trust, and attention. The power of this energy lies in the fact that it cannot be faked. It must be built. It grows from discipline, from keeping promises to yourself, from standing strong in moments of fear, from refusing to let failures define you. Each small victory you collect becomes fuel for this inner energy. Each challenge you endure adds another layer of strength to it. Over time, you no longer need to remind yourself to appear confident because you are confident. It becomes who you are. And once confidence becomes your natural state, your energy shifts permanently. You don't have to force people to notice you, they just do. Think about the difference between a flickering candle and a blazing fire. A candle may light a small space, but a fire transforms the entire atmosphere. That is the difference between shallow confidence and true confidence. A shallow display may spark attention briefly, but true confidence burns so strongly that it changes the environment around it. People feel safer in your presence, inspired in your presence, challenged in your presence, and sometimes even unsettled by your presence, because deep confidence disrupts the comfort of mediocrity. It shows others what they could be if they let go of their own doubt. The energy of true confidence commands attention because it is not chasing it. That is the paradox. Those who desperately seek validation rarely receive it, but those who no longer need it attract it effortlessly. When you move with certainty, when your actions align with your beliefs, when your voice carries conviction instead of fear, people cannot ignore you. They may not understand what it is, but they feel it. And in a world where most people are unsure, The one who is sure of themselves becomes unforgettable. Confidence is not built on chance, and it is not a gift handed to the lucky few. Confidence is the byproduct of discipline, of the daily decision to keep going when it would be easier to quit. Too many people think confidence means waking up one morning with unshakable belief in themselves, but that is a myth. Real confidence comes from evidence, and that evidence is created through action. Every time you do what you said you would do, every time you keep a promise to yourself, every time you push past resistance, you give your mind proof that you can trust yourself. And trust in yourself is the foundation of dangerous confidence. Without discipline, confidence is fragile. You can tell yourself affirmations, you can repeat positive words, but if your actions do not back them up, your subconscious will not believe them. The mind is always watching, always recording. It notices when you say you will rise early but sleep in. It notices when you commit to goals but abandon them at the first sign of discomfort. With every broken promise, you weaken the bond between your words and your actions. And that gap is where doubt thrives. But when you develop discipline, when your actions consistently align with your intentions, your mind begins to trust you completely. That trust builds into certainty, and certainty hardens into confidence. Discipline does not mean perfection. It means consistency. It means showing up even when you are tired. It means taking the next step even when motivation has disappeared. It means choosing the path of growth instead of the path of comfort, again and again, until it becomes automatic. This is how confidence is constructed, not through one massive victory, but through hundreds of small decisions made with integrity. Over time, those decisions create a reputation you hold with yourself. You know that if you commit to something, you will follow through. That knowledge is what gives you the calm, quiet power others can feel. The reason disciplined people radiate confidence is because they are not at war with themselves. They do not doubt their own words because their words and actions are aligned. They do not wrestle with guilt because they know they have done what needed to be done. This inner alignment removes hesitation. When you have put in the work, when you have earned your strength through discipline, you no longer have to fake belief. You are belief. You walk into any challenge knowing that your preparation is real, that your resilience has been tested, and that your word is unbreakable. Confidence built on discipline is dangerous because it cannot be taken from you. No insult, no rejection, no setback can shake it. Why? Because it does not depend on the opinions of others. It is rooted in the unshakable evidence of your own actions. Every drop of discipline becomes a brick in the fortress of your confidence, and once that fortress is built, nothing external can bring it down. That is why discipline is not just a habit. It is the foundation of unstoppable, unshakable, and dangerously powerful confidence. Failure is one of the greatest teachers life has to offer, yet most people run from it as if it is a curse. They see failure as the end, as proof that they are not capable, as evidence that they should give up. But failure is not the end. Failure is the beginning of confidence, because every time you fail, you are handed a choice, to be broken by it or to be built by it. Dangerous confidence is born in the fires of failure, because it is there that you discover who you really are. It is there that you are stripped of illusions, excuses, and comfort. And it is there that you learn that setbacks are not signs of weakness. They are opportunities to gather strength. When you shift your perspective on failure, everything changes. You begin to see that each time you fall short, you are not losing. You are collecting information. You are gathering lessons that could never be learned through easy victories. Failure shows you where your weaknesses are, where your habits need refining, where your strategies need adjusting. It gives you feedback that success could never provide. The difference between those who stay broken and those who rise is simple. The broken see failure as a dead end, while the confident see it as a stepping stone. Confidence grows when you refuse to let failure define you. Every time you rise after falling, you send a signal to your subconscious mind that you cannot be stopped. Each comeback becomes proof that you are resilient. With every failure you transform into fuel, your belief in yourself grows stronger, because you know that even in your lowest moments you have the power to rebuild. And once you know this, failure loses its ability to control you. It no longer feels like a wall blocking your path. It becomes the hammer that sharpens your strength, the weight that builds your resilience, the storm that tests your foundation so you know it cannot be shaken. Some of the most confident people in the world are not those who avoided failure. They are those who faced it again and again and refused to stay down. They turned every rejection, every mistake, every loss into a lesson. And through this process, they developed a dangerous kind of confidence, the kind that says, no matter what happens, I will rise again. That mindset is unbreakable because it is not built on perfect victories. It is built on endurance, adaptability, and relentless courage. This is why failure is power. Each time you fall and rise again, you become harder to defeat. Each time you are knocked down but stand back up, you send a message to yourself and to the world, I cannot be destroyed. That is dangerous confidence, the kind that no failure can touch. Because when failure no longer scares you, when you see it as part of the journey rather than the end of it, nothing can stop you. You become unstoppable not because you never fail, but because you never stay down. The loudest voice you will ever hear is not from the world around you. It is the one inside your own head. That voice can be your greatest ally or your most ruthless enemy. It can whisper courage, strength, and possibility, or it can scream doubt, fear, and limitation. Most people allow this inner voice to run unchecked, and as a result, it becomes a dictator. It tells them they are not enough, that they are not ready, that failure is inevitable. But dangerous confidence begins the moment you learn to master this voice, to speak to it with authority, and to refuse to let it control your actions. Your inner voice is powerful because your mind believes what it hears repeatedly. Every thought you allow to take root shapes your perception of reality. If you constantly feed it weakness, hesitation, and fear, you will start to see the world as hostile, impossible, and unyielding. But if you consciously feed it strength, courage, and belief, your mind begins to accept that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. The energy of your inner dialogue determines the energy you project outward. This is why the voice in your head is not just a thought. It is the architect of your reality. Mastering your inner voice requires awareness. The first step is listening without judgment. Recognize the patterns of doubt and fear as they arise, and then consciously redirect them. Speak to yourself as you would speak to someone you truly respect. Encourage yourself, remind yourself of your victories, and reaffirm your ability to overcome obstacles. The more you practice this, the more your mind begins to believe it, until inner doubt loses its power. This is not a momentary trick. It is a lifelong habit that rewires the subconscious mind and turns your thoughts into allies rather than enemies. When your inner voice is aligned with your goals, it becomes a constant source of energy and confidence. It pushes you to take action even when fear arises. It reminds you that setbacks are temporary, that your strength is real, and that your purpose is worth pursuing. And the more you listen to this empowered voice, the more unshakable your confidence becomes. People around you may not hear it, but they will sense the difference. Your actions, your presence, your decisions will carry the certainty of someone whose inner foundation cannot be shaken. The dangerous kind of confidence is born here, within the mind. Once you master your inner dialogue, you no longer need to rely on external validation. Criticism, rejection, and failure no longer carry the weight they once did because your self-belief has become louder than any outside noise. You start to move with clarity, decisiveness, and power, because the voice that guides you is one of unwavering certainty. That is the true source of dangerous confidence. When your mind itself becomes your most loyal supporter, nothing in the world can shake your resolve. You carry yourself not as someone hoping to succeed, but as someone who knows they will. Confidence is not just something you feel, it is something you radiate. When your belief in yourself becomes unshakable, it extends beyond your mind and body. It creates an aura, a presence that others cannot ignore. People can sense certainty even before you speak. They feel it in your posture, in your tone, in the way you move through the world. That aura is magnetic. It draws people to you, it commands respect, and it makes others aware that they are in the presence of someone who is not easily swayed, someone who trusts themselves, someone who carries the power of unwavering belief. The aura of unshakable belief is not born from luck or charm. It is cultivated through repeated proof to yourself that you are capable. Every challenge you face, every fear you conquer, every promise you keep to yourself adds to this invisible energy. It grows silently, almost imperceptibly, until one day it becomes unmistakable. People do not need to see your victories to feel your strength. They can feel the weight of your certainty in every word you speak and in every action you take. This is the dangerous quality of real confidence. It announces itself without noise, it commands attention without effort, and it changes the dynamics of every interaction. What makes this aura so powerful is that it cannot be faked. Pretend confidence is always temporary. It fades under pressure because it is not built on foundation. True confidence, the kind that radiates as an aura, is built from repeated action, discipline, and inner alignment. When you know who you are and what you are capable of, you do not need to explain yourself, justify yourself, or perform for anyone else. That certainty becomes visible, and it shifts the way the world perceives you. People instinctively trust, respect, and follow someone whose confidence is so deeply rooted that it cannot be shaken. This aura also has an impact beyond relationships. It affects opportunity, perception, and outcome. Doors that were once closed begin to open. Resistance that once seemed immovable begins to waver. People naturally defer to someone who carries unshakable belief because certainty is rare, and the world instinctively respects those who can demonstrate it. Your energy, more than your words, becomes the currency of influence, the magnet of possibility, and the silent engine of success. The most dangerous thing about this aura is that it is contagious. People who encounter it feel its pull, they reflect it, and it inspires confidence in others. And yet it always begins with you. Your choice to trust yourself, your choice to act decisively, your choice to maintain belief even in the face of uncertainty. That is why unshakable belief is not just a mental state, it is a force. Once it is cultivated, once it radiates from within, it makes you unstoppable. You carry yourself as someone who no longer asks for permission, someone who no longer doubts, someone whose confidence commands the world without even trying. Confidence is forged in discomfort, not in ease. Most people avoid challenges, avoid risk, and cling to safety because comfort feels safe, familiar, and painless. But comfort is a trap. It lulls the mind into stagnation, it dims ambition, and it starves the soul of growth. True dangerous confidence emerges when you consistently choose courage over comfort, when you take the path that demands more from you, when you step into the unknown despite fear. Every time you choose discomfort in pursuit of growth, you are training yourself to become unshakable, to become someone the world cannot intimidate or sway. Courage over comfort means taking action even when the outcome is uncertain. It means facing challenges when others turn away. It means making decisions that may be unpopular, that may feel risky, that may even bring temporary pain, because you understand that the short-term struggle is a necessary part of long-term strength. People who cling to comfort avoid failure, but they also avoid transformation. They remain predictable, controllable, and limited. Confidence does not grow in safe zones. It grows in zones where fear, risk, and uncertainty exist, and where your willingness to act is the only thing keeping you moving forward. The moment you embrace discomfort, the world begins to bend differently around you. Every challenge you face, every fear you confront, every boundary you push becomes proof to your mind that you are stronger than you ever believed. And as this proof accumulates, hesitation weakens, doubt fades, and your courage compounds into unshakable confidence. The more often you choose courage, the easier it becomes to act decisively, and the more natural it feels to trust yourself. Eventually, comfort becomes irrelevant because you no longer need it to feel safe. Your inner certainty is stronger than any external reassurance. Courage over comfort also reshapes your perception of failure. Those who consistently choose comfort fear mistakes, setbacks, and criticism. Those who choose courage understand that failure is part of the process. They see mistakes not as reasons to quit, but as lessons to refine their path. Every time you move through fear instead of around it, every time you step into discomfort instead of retreating, you reinforce a belief in your own ability to endure, adapt, and overcome. This is the essence of dangerous confidence. It is resilient, unshakable, and relentless because it has been tested repeatedly in the fires of challenge. The people who rise above mediocrity are not those who waited for safety. They are those who embraced the hard path and proved to themselves that they could endure. By choosing courage over comfort, you develop a mindset that no obstacle can intimidate and no situation can paralyze. You build the kind of confidence that does not need validation, that does not fear rejection, and that cannot be undermined by external circumstances. The world may offer resistance, but you carry a strength that thrives on challenge, grows through adversity, and rises higher with every risk you take. In this way, courage over comfort becomes the engine of dangerous, unstoppable confidence. Dangerously confident people do not chase approval, validation, or recognition. They set the standard. While most of the world adjusts itself to fit in, to meet the expectations of others, to follow trends or follow the crowd, the confident person moves with their own compass, guided by an unshakable belief in their vision and ability. They no longer compare themselves to others because they understand that comparison is a trap. It weakens confidence, it steals focus, and it distracts from progress. Instead, they focus on becoming the highest version of themselves, raising their own standards, and living in alignment with the person they are determined to become. Becoming the standard requires a deep commitment to excellence. It is not about perfection, but about constantly improving, constantly growing, and constantly testing your limits. While others may be satisfied with mediocrity, the dangerously confident person is never satisfied with less than their potential. They understand that the moment you stop raising your standards is the moment you start falling behind. By committing to personal excellence, by refusing to settle for ordinary, you elevate yourself above the crowd, and the world takes notice. The difference between someone who follows and someone who leads is not luck. It is the courage to define the standard for themselves and refuse to compromise. Setting your own standard also means independence. It means that you no longer rely on the direction, approval, or recognition of others to feel worthy or capable. Your value is determined by your own actions, your own effort, and your own results. Dangerous confidence thrives in this independence because it is self-contained. The standards you set for yourself become a framework for every choice you make, and every action you take reinforces your belief in your own authority over your life. The higher your standard, the more power you carry, and the more magnetic your presence becomes. When you become the standard, others are naturally drawn to you, not because you demand attention, but because you demonstrate it through your life. Your actions, discipline, and consistency set a benchmark that people recognize. You do not need to convince anyone of your worth. Your results, your energy, and your presence speak louder than words ever could. Confidence in this way becomes contagious. People are inspired, challenged, and motivated by those who refuse to follow and instead lead by example. And the most dangerous thing about becoming the standard is that it frees you entirely from the limitations others try to impose. The ultimate power of setting your own standard is that it removes the need for permission. Once you decide to define excellence for yourself and live by it consistently, the opinions, judgments, or expectations of the world lose their ability to control you. You are no longer a passenger in your own life. You are the authority, the leader, and the example. Dangerous confidence emerges naturally from this mindset, because it is rooted not in external approval but in internal mastery. You become the measure, the example, and the benchmark, and in doing so, you command respect, influence, and an unstoppable presence wherever you go. Confidence is not something that is given to you. It is something you take, something you build, and something you protect. It begins as a quiet seed planted in moments of self-belief, watered through discipline, courage, and repeated action. But the true awakening occurs when you stop waiting for anyone else's permission to rise, when you stop seeking approval, when you stop fearing judgment, when you stop shrinking to fit the expectations of the world, that is the moment you step into dangerous confidence. From that moment forward, nothing external has the power to control you, because you have taken full ownership of your mind, your energy, and your destiny. The final awakening is a choice. It is a decision to no longer let doubt, fear, or failure dictate your actions. It is the realization that all the tools for your success, all the power for your transformation, have been within you all along. Once you recognize this, you see the world differently. Challenges no longer appear as obstacles, they are opportunities. Setbacks are no longer punishments, they are lessons. Criticism no longer hurts, it sharpens. When your internal foundation is unshakable, the external chaos cannot disrupt you. You move through life with a certainty that is visible, magnetic, and at times intimidating to those who have not yet awakened to their own strength. At this stage, confidence becomes more than a mindset. It becomes a force. It is reflected in your actions, your decisions, your posture, your energy. People sense it even before you speak. They respond to it, respect it, and are drawn to it because it carries authority without demanding it. Dangerous confidence is not about arrogance or dominance. It is about knowing, with every fiber of your being, that you can handle whatever comes. It is the silent power that allows you to walk through fear and doubt without hesitation, because you have already chosen to rise regardless of what the world throws at you. The final awakening also brings freedom. Freedom from self-imposed limits, freedom from the need for validation, freedom from fear of failure. You no longer shrink to fit circumstances or opinions. You no longer wait for permission to act. You no longer let hesitation slow you down. Every step forward becomes a declaration that you are in control, that you trust yourself, and that you are prepared to rise higher than you ever imagined. This freedom is intoxicating, powerful, and transformative because it is absolute. It cannot be taken away, it cannot be diminished, and it cannot be compromised. The moment of awakening is a point of no return. Once you embrace your power, your confidence becomes dangerous, unstoppable, and undeniable. The world will notice the difference because you no longer ask for permission. You create your own path. You no longer doubt yourself. You trust your own strength. You no longer wait. You act. And in that transformation, you realize the truth that has been waiting for you all along. Confidence is not just a state of mind. It is a force, a presence, and a choice. From that choice, your life changes, your power emerges, and you step into a version of yourself that is unstoppable, unshakable, and endlessly magnetic.